Okay, my dear children, I hope you have already seen the introduction video to Macbeth, right? So that kind of gives you an idea about what to expect in this particular story. It's a complex story. I would rate Macbeth as easily my favorite Shakespearean play because it has so many layers that makes it extremely complicated, but it's also fun because you get to get an insight into human characters in Macbeth, and I think it's unparalleled. I don't think any other play, perhaps with the exception of Othello, I don't think any other play comes close to Macbeth in terms of Shakespearean proficiency in explaining the characters and bringing out the different shades of human characters. Let's start with Act 1, Scene 1. Now, before I get to the line by line description, explanation, a few points that you need to bear in mind. Please note that Shakespeare does not introduce any of the main characters in Act 1, Scene 1. Usually the style is that you would expect the main character or at least some of the main characters to be introduced in the opening scene. That does not happen in Act 1, Scene 1. If you remember The Merchant of Venice, you had Antonio and Bassanio both introduced in the opening scene itself. That doesn't happen here. In fact, the main character does not get introduced even in the second scene, which is Macbeth, right? So that is something, an interesting theatrical style. Okay, now this seems more like a prologue to what is likely to happen. It sets up the play in that sense. In some of the old editions, the three weird sisters have been used. In the later editions, mostly three witches is what is used. Now, weird also in the old style of English meant fate. So in that sense, it is linked to something which is likely to happen, in this case, a bit in the negative sense. What is the atmosphere of the opening scene? It's thunder and lightning. And thunder and lightning is generally associated with demons and witches, right? Stormy weather, I would say. Stormy weather is associated with demons and witches, and it's an indication again that something drastic, dramatic is likely to happen very soon. So it's a sign of disruption of the order, of the normal order. It's a sign of the disruption. Finally, the weird sisters are also are also referred to sometimes as sisters of fate. You would recall this in The Merchant of Venice. There is a reference to the sisters of fate in the Launcelot scene, right? So they are the ones who are controlling the fate of men on earth. And if you see the witches, especially towards the end, they speak in some kind of a wayward rhyming scheme. Okay, I think Shakespeare has done this deliberately to make their speech different from that of the other characters, because these three witches are obviously not human. Okay, so let's get started. I hope now that you have understood the basic background of this particular scene, let's get started with the line by line explanation. What does the first witch say? When shall we three meet again? In thunder, in lightning, or in rain? Now, if you basically saying that when do we meet again? When shall we meet again? Should we meet when there is thunder, or when there is lightning, or when there is rain? Again, an indication, as I said, of the disruptive elements. Okay. The second which says, when the hurly-burly is done, when the battle is lost and won. This one, they're all important. They can come as a line, and you could be asked questions related to that and related to the play itself. Okay. When the hurly-burly is done, when the battle is lost and won. Now, when the battle is lost and won, you see, it's a very different kind of a sentence. You either lose a battle or you win a battle. Can you also lose a battle and also win a battle? No, it is to be one side this and one side the other side, right? So hurly-burly is talking about the noise and the confusion. Hurly-burly, because this is another important word which can be asked to you. So hurly-burly is referring to the noise, to the confusion. Okay, so the second which is saying, when the hurly-burly, when all this noise and confusion, the chaos of the battle is done. Which battle is being referred to? The battle which we see or we hear about in the second scene. Okay, there is a battle which is being fought between Duncan's army and the rebels. So that we will learn about in the second scene. But the witches are aware. So the awareness part is very important. They are aware of the fact that this battle is taking place. So she says that when the chaos, the confusion, the noise of the battle is done, when the battle is lost and won. Now, the witches say that basically it also conveys that the victory and the defeat is being spoken about with a degree of indifference, right? See, if I am on one side, I would want my side to win, right? I would want the other side to lose, right? Same with you, same with anyone else. But the witches don't seem to be an integral part. They don't seem to have any stakes in who wins or who loses, which is why there is a sense of indifference here when they say when the battle is lost and won. Okay, so they are establishing their position as not being integral to the play's plot in that sense. It does not matter to them who wins or who loses. They have a particular plan in mind, and for that it does not matter who wins or loses. The third witch says that will be before the setting of the sun, before the sun has set. Now, some of you with the knowledge of what happens later may say that, well, it would make a difference that only if Macbeth wins, he becomes the Thane of Cawdor from the present position as the Thane of Glamis. Glamis nahi hai, Glams hai. Okay, though it's written spelled as Glamis, that's his present title. Okay, but the fact is that they have already sinister plans in place. So it does not matter who wins, because Macbeth is fighting on behalf of the army of Duncan. We will learn about all that in the second scene. Let me not jump it right now and get you confused. Okay. First witch says, where is the place? The second witch says, upon the heath, that is upon that barren land. Okay, where only wild vegetation grows. Third witch says, there to meet with Macbeth. So now we are being told about the protagonist of this play, right? And that's the only time he's mentioned in the opening scene, right? So we will meet Macbeth there, and this is the only information about the protagonist that we get in the first scene. The first witch says, I come Grey Malkin. Now, Grey Malkin is how a grey cat is referred to. Okay, and it can also be the name possibly of some attendant spirits, because these witches, etc., are known to kind of have attendant spirits, animal spirits. But Grey Malkin is the name of a grey cat. Paddock calls. Paddock is calling. Paddock is the name of a toad. Toad. Okay. So again, you can understand. You get an idea about what? You get an idea about the weirdness of the entire atmosphere, right? Thunder, lightning, and the kind of talking they are doing, it's a little confusing, and that's what comes to your mind. Paddock calls Anon. Now, she says soon. Anon means presently or soon, right away. This is said by the third witch, not here. It has got a little formatting issue. Now, the last one. This is an important line, just like the opening line. Fair is foul and foul is fair, and they say it together. Hover through the fog and filthy air. Now you see there is a bit of a rhyming being done. Wayward rhyming, but a rhyming nevertheless, right? That is something which you need to know. The other thing is, almost when you rhyme, it almost sounds like a chant, which again, all these demons and evil spirits are supposed to indulge in. Fair means beautiful. Fair also means good. Okay. Fair means beautiful. Fair also means it also means good, okay, which is an antonym of foul. Okay, it's a complete opposite. Fair also can mean just. When you are, you do justice, fair also can be used in that sentence, in that sense. So just like loss and victory mean the same to them, similarly they don't care about foul and fair. For them, fair is foul and foul is fair. It does not matter. So what you get is a rather distorted sense of fairness, as in justice, okay, of fairness. So it doesn't matter whether fair or foul, both for them are just the same. Just like victory and defeat both meant the same to them. So it kind of creates, what does it create? It creates a very confusing picture for you. ये कहना, वो एक डायलॉग है ना, वो मीम आता है, हाँ, अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो भाई, इट्स अ बिट लाइक दैट, राइट? दैट there is confusion, there is lack of clarity on what exactly these switches mean, and that's precisely the idea. When the opening scene comes and then the scene goes out and the second scene, you are still very unsure about what did they mean. So the whole Shakespearean idea was to create a sense of ambiguity, of confusion, right? Ambiguity again means confusion. This is how ambiguity is spelled. Please note down these words. Notes are going to be there, but you note down these words because then you can start using these kind of words in your answers, will make your answer that much better. I've written some question and answers also in the notes. What is the effect created by the opening scene, right? It creates a very sinister kind of an ambience, right? There is a theme of disorder which is kind of immediately established, right, with the opening scene, right? They are malevolent by nature. So this is as far as Act 1, Scene 1, the opening scene of Macbeth is concerned. Very short, one-page scene, but definitely very dramatic in terms of the impact it creates. What is the impact? The audience and the reader, essentially, they are left confused. They don't know. There is no clarity, but they know something sinister is going to happen. And they have mentioned Macbeth. What are they going to do to Macbeth? What will Macbeth do? What is their plan vis-a-vis Macbeth, right? That is what the audience and the reader are curious about. So now I'll meet you in Act 1, Scene 2, where we'll meet the other characters like Duncan and the other attendants, the other Scottish lords. Thank you. Tata, bye-bye.